How are you guys doing today? This is Darius. That's Thaddeaus there. And today's podcast, this is the Why Did I Incarnate podcast for those who have not been aware of what we do and why we do it. How are you guys doing today? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me mute this. Okay. But yes, so this podcast is essentially a spiritual conversation with spiritualists like you and I. We also have, we interview other intuitives or other people who just are on the spiritual path that come across our paths, and we essentially allow topics to come up and allow them to rise as they come up. When we first started the podcast, it kind of just began to unravel into topics weekly, but something we're starting to get back into. We're noticing whether we want to or not. It's just something that keeps coming up. It's us just allowing topics to come off the cuff. So literally today we just like, okay, we don't know what we're going to discuss. Let's go live. But I feel like we're at that level of perceptiveness physically and intuitively speaking that we can allow something to come and have it flow like it's meant to be. Just have it flow as if everything was planned out perfectly by a divine source. Us being the source, if you think about it, because we're creating that experience for you to be participating in. We are actually, because if you're viewing this, you're also a part of the experience. You're aligning with what we deem, I don't know. You're aligning with our alignment. We're aligning together, essentially. So this podcast is essentially Thaddeus and I just aligning with you and discussing things you like us to discuss and whatnot. So if this is your first time viewing, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel. We post video. We do live broadcasts every Tuesday at 4 p.m. EST. We are currently residing in West Palm Beach, Florida, so we're in the Eastern Standard Time. So 4 p.m. EST, we'll be going live. We love to do intuitive readings for those who are willing to ask questions. And sometimes I do them for those who don't want to ask questions anyway, just because I can. And so I just would appreciate if you guys were to sound off in the live chat. Let me know you're here. Say a quick hello to the fellow viewers and just be a part of the experience with Thaddeus and I, because it's something to be a part of. So yes, today, I'm going to first just go over my day. I'm feeling called to discuss my day. So let's just do that first. Today I was, okay, so I'm an intuitive reader for the Peace Stealer. Some of you probably know who I am, who we are because of the Peace Stealer. I recently been doing videos on this channel every Wednesday. I've been doing videos by the name of What is Your Darkness for that week. What is Your Darkness is essentially like half an hour video for, I pulled 2 tarot cards for the signs. And then I do intuitive readings for the signs. And I post it every Wednesday, yada, yada, yada. And it's cool and it's fun. Great. So what I'm noticing is that once I do the video, I don't want to watch it. I did the first one. I didn't want to watch it, and I watched it, but originally I didn't want to watch it. I thought to myself, why don't I want to see my creation? Why don't I want to see something I wanted you to see, really? Because I'm putting out this video for you to see, but I don't want to see why. Why? So I watched it, and I realized that it was really fucking good. I'm really good at what I do, and I became at peace with that. And I found myself really enjoyable to watch. I watched my video at least like 6 times from start to finish without skipping a beat. Like to the point where I can quote my own shit, almost as if I'm a fan. And what that is just self-love. But what's important to understand is why did I want to see it to begin with? My first, I was, okay, I don't want to see it because I have no interest in seeing it. I experienced the energy of it. I created it, so I know it's there. I need to witness it. But deeper than that, it was really, I didn't want to see the mistakes I made. I didn't want to see the mistakes people were going to see. I just wanted to like, okay, out of sight, out of mind, done, mistakes done. I'm human, done. But I'm realizing that I don't think I even made any mistakes. And if I did make mistakes, I feel like they were in perfect alignment with what I needed them to be. And I'm just really excited to be at peace, to be in a place where I can fine tune my level of self-love, because that's all I've been doing this entire journey thus far, just increasing my level of self-love. But it gets to the point where sometimes you feel as if you're kind of like you've grown to the point where growth that can be had is very minuscule. If it makes sense, growth that can be had won't be as gargantuan because of the amount of growth that's happened in the past, And I'm just at the point where I'm more so fine tuning my intuition, fine tuning where I am currently. And I mentioned these videos to discuss that being at peace with what you present is just something that should be naturally occurring. Being at peace with what you reside as and exist as should be naturally occurring. Being at peace with where you are and where you're going should be naturally occurring. And what I'm feeling as if I wasn't doing that before, even though I thought I was. Clearly wasn't doing that before now, but now that I'm doing it, I'm noticing major, what I thought were like fine tuning in my intuition. I'm noticing major jumps in my intuition, major jumps in me being able to allow. Because once I remove the idea of me doing stuff wrong and me not being where I need to be and me being inauthentically me, what I started to realize is that I'm really fucking good. And I don't necessarily need to feel as if I don't have to prepare to be good. I just can allow myself to enter that space of who I am. And who I am is just naturally a person who can receive intuitively. We can all receive and all allow ourselves to receive great insights from higher levels of intellect. You know, Shanita Love says, peace and love, guys. How are you, Shanita? Thaddeus Sims replied, peace and love. But yeah, I'm just wanting to share the process of fine tuning and how sometimes we might deem something so minuscule, but we change it, flip a switch, and we grow like that. So don't feel as if the small things in your life aren't worth divulging into, because they are, and the results you'll find because of them will be great. So just for me, it was see myself in the video and not being able to be at peace with what I presented. But once I became at peace with what I presented, I started to realize that I'm okay. And I just started to lighten up. And I noticed shifts in my 9-to-5 job. I noticed shifts in my home. I noticed shifts in my perspective on who I am and where I am and where I'm going. And I'm really excited about what's to come for the Peace Really Night, because I post these videos. I've been getting a lot of views, a lot of love, lots and lots of love. I'm getting subscribers on my own YouTube channel. People are coming onto the podcast, I feel like, and they're aware of that now. I've got emails about things and stuff. So it's going to eventually lead to me doing more videos on my own personal channel, which I'm excited for as well. But I guess I'm just speaking right now to discuss the importance of self-love and the importance that allowing can provide. Allowing is literally just showing up and expecting greatness to happen. Showing up and expecting greatness. That is truly allowing. Showing up and expecting greatness. Like, I feel like I'm an excellent public speaker because I have no idea what I'm going to say. I feel like if I was a good public speaker, I would know enough about public speaking to critique myself, but because I know nothing and I know something will come, I'm excellent, because I can assure you, give me a mic and I'll talk. This is what I do. Give me a mic and I will talk. Have a conversation with me and I'll talk. I can do this stuff. It just stuff comes out. I just go from this to that. I don't question it. I usually, what it is, I have a starting point. And once I get that starting point, I'm like, okay, something will come after that. So I just, okay, I'm going to allow. I'm going to be confident. I'm going to allow. So how do you allow? What's another way you can allow? Just for you, it might not be. For me, I literally get to like a few words to discuss. Now start there and it'll just keep going and going. But for you, it might just be taking a deep breath, or maybe just starting with something like appreciation, perhaps, but just I'm wanting to speak on the power of allowing, because allowing is quite crucial. If you think about it, let's say that you're a teacher and you want to profess a lesson to the class, and you're trying to profess this lesson, but you aren't figuring out how to do it. So you kind of come up with this concept of doing this, and that. But then you start to execute those concepts to the class and they don't like it. They don't get it. What are you going to do? Run away? No, you're going to allow something to happen. You're going to go into your power, stand in your power. Because what you're doing by allowing is you're standing in your power. You're allowing more of you to come through you. That's what allowing is. That's when I take a deep breath. You're allowing your higher self, your source self, the best of you, to speak more of you, to speak more on you through you. And what I think I'm being called to discuss higher selves and source selves and what role that plays. I feel like there's a very high level concept that not all spiritualists can understand. I think we kind of just say these terms like, oh, cool, higher self. Ooh. I want to really discuss that and what that means to us. And I'm going to give a very physical example. So as you all know, that video games. Okay, so when you play a video game, you have the control in your hand. It's connected to the PS4, and on your TV, you see that your character, your avatar. And then sometimes you have friends in the background. The friends are like guiding you. Say, oh, go here. My friend has this game. I know I played it before. They're guiding you. Think of you who you physically are right now as the avatar in that video game, and your higher self is the one with the controller. Every kind of thing you do in that video game goes back to him. Even though he's kind of like controlling you, it's almost as if you have your own ideals of how to live in that video game. And within that video game, you're creating a space that you create and you exist in, but in every form of expansion goes back through that controller to the higher source. And the higher self is surrounded by who? Your spirit guides. The spirit guides are connected to your higher self through you. You encounter your spirit guides because you are your higher self, but in all actuality, they're connected to your higher self through you. Connected to you through your higher self, but you're the same person. You're your higher self. Your higher self is essentially you at your best. It's all the things you've accumulated in this lifetime, in the past lifetimes, in concurrent lifetimes. Every time you have an epiphany, that energy goes off to your higher self, and that higher self gets broader perspective. And because we're constantly growing, constantly expanding, the higher self is the best of you that you can ever be, because you're only living this lifetime right now. Even though parts of you are living other lifetimes, you yourself, how you are viewing this podcast, are living this lifetime right now. And you're gaining insights. And the more insights you gain, more can be tapped into through your higher self. But if you understand that you're your higher self, you then start to realize you don't need to be like, when I do intuitive readings nowadays, I don't talk to my guides. I don't talk to my higher selves. I just, oh, wow, okay, I know the answer. Like, oh, I know this, I know that. And once you get to the level of knowing that you're your higher self, you'll find yourself not talking to your higher self because you are your higher self. You're receiving that in that way. You don't need to talk to your guys as much. You can, they're there to help, but they don't play as prevalent of a role in your life as you will begin to play once you understand and allow the fact that you're allowing. You know, I feel like now is a good time to pass over the mic, but I'm wanting you to just gain the concepts of allowing, because that's like the first step in, not the first step in intuition, but it's like a major step. Regardless of your level of intuition, if you allow more, you take your intuition up a notch. Okay?
Darius, that was amazing.
Thank you.
I appreciate you for blessing them
Thank you.
with that knowledge. And also you can understand that if you don't have a PlayStation 4 video game, your spirituality is lacking. I mean,
truly, because you can't connect to different levels of energy, really.
So, in other words, get the PlayStation.
Or an Xbox One. I prefer PS4, but I don't judge, you know.
No judgment. Yeah. But I mean, a PlayStation shows that you know. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you guys. I mean, but I have a PlayStation 4. He has a PlayStation 4. I mean, you see how? Okay, let me stop. But anyways, let's see. I'm gonna take a page from Darius here. So what do I feel? I feel as though, yes, I'm gonna start with what he said, allowing. So with me, there's a lot of things I have to like allow. When I feel like I'm like kind of pushing or forcing myself, I stop and I just allow this force to come from me, or through me, whatever, and I let things happen. So keeping that in mind, recently what I was telling him earlier is that for me, I have just been experiencing pretty much ways to surpass the mind. And every time I share stuff for myself, I always say, this is what I've been experiencing. Doesn't mean that this is for everybody. So making sure I put that there. And one of the things I've learned for me is that the mind was kind of like a cage. And, you know, a lot of things have just been happening where it's just like, you know, you can only experience or see or perceive things that your mind allows you to. And, you know, yeah, there's stuff you can program yourself with, but, you know, still, it was just like, okay, I've gotten to this point of awareness through many, many experiences. So it's like, okay, what can I do to, like, how can I surpass the mind? And, you know, previously what led me to get here is that, you know, I'm not going to go through everything, but, you know, there was a major life where I was channeling. And, you know, I had to learn how to channel my guides and, you know, entities and things like that. And that all served a purpose for me to master that skill of just channeling. And I've learned to take that in different ways besides just my guides. I've learned to channel in other different ways. And I still do that to this day. Then the next like skill that I had to get was learning how to transcend logic. And when I say logic, it's like when you think of logic, like you think, okay, that's the right thing to do, or that's logical, you should do, you know. And I've learned that that was kind of like limiting for me for how I do things. So I had to learn how to transcend logic. That amongst other things I had to learn, but like I said, I'm not going to go through all of that. This is just to get to the point where I'm saying, but in so doing, I had to master that skill. And when I transcended logic, I was able to perceive and become aware of multiple and many different things, yet all at the same time, and understand that this intelligence with it. So that's something that I mastered and whatnot. And so, you know, through my journey, it's led to, okay, the mind. And I've just been learning how to transcend a lot of things that, you know, I've been taught or things I've learned. So I've been having to destroy things I've learned and, you know, allow other things to come through, expanding, you know, the mind, expanding my consciousness, expanding awareness and things like that. And even also really understanding the words themselves. And once I surpassed the mind, I've understood a lot about reality and how it is here. And again, this is what I say for me, but I've understood that like a lot of things are just like made of codes, but it's like an intelligence with it. Like, you know, I can understand it and I can process it, But you tell me to write it down, it's just like, that's way too slow, dude. So it's like I've gotten to a space where I can understand and understand and overstand so much that's around me. And I had to, for me to get there, I couldn't force it. That was a point of like allowing. I had to get to a certain point, master it, and then next thing you know, something else came, and then I just allowed it to happen. Because there's some there's some times where I get to certain spaces where it's just like, okay, this everything I have been doing is not going to work here. So I just stop and I'm like, okay, let me just allow it to come through. And every time I do, it's just like, boom, I'm like, okay, somehow, some way, it's like I download something and I'm like, oh, I got it. So the allowing has definitely helped me like continuously thus far. And one of the things too that I've just been understanding is that once you do surpass the mind, it's pretty interesting. Because was that Karen? Mm-hmm. What up? Hey Karen, how are you? Yeah, so I've learned that once I've like surpassed the mind, there's like this form of communication or understanding or whatever that is completely new. And one of my current things is like, all right, I'm like, I get all of this, but it's like, how can I explain this to people, you know, who may have not, you know, gotten here yet, you know, or whatever. So that's kind of like where I'm at with stuff. But again, through my, it's like, okay, I have to master this first and I can talk about it. But for example, you know, how do I get here is that I guess you can say, we're going to go with lack of a better words, like consciousness or whatever. It's like, as more, by the way, the more I like evolve, I'm realizing that like using words is just so
yeah, it's because the energy you receive from it, the energy you get, it can't be defined as this or that. So
right.
Like, yeah,
it's like, okay, let me find a word that closely gets to it. But
yeah,
one of the things that's been happening is that I would get a lot of questions in my meditation. And they're very good questions because it's like, okay, I have to think, surpass what I've been, you know, what I'm used to or learning. I had to get different questions. So one of the things that I've been understanding is, for example, we term it awareness now, but one of the questions that I would get on meditation is like, okay, what is real? What do you determine as real? Is it based off of your senses, touch, taste, you know, feel, all of that? So if that's what you can perceive with your senses, does that make that really real? And then it was just like, I would get questions like that. And I'm like, okay. So it's like, all right, now let's question these senses of yours. And, you know, simple questions was like, okay, close your eyes. And then I was like, okay, in meditation, my eyes are already closed, but I'm just giving the questions that, anyways, I'm repeating the questions I was asked to you. So for example, it would be close your eyes. Now, in like 7 seconds or less, create something, anything, can't be right or wrong. Now, as you do that, then stop. Then it's like, okay, you were able to see that, but you weren't really using your eyes. So how is that possible? Then, for example, you hear me talking to you, blah, you hear sounds, you hear music, but let's just say you go in the room for a minute and there's nothing playing or there's, you know, nobody talking to you. But then now think in your head, have a full conversation in your head. You're able to hear that, but you're not using your ears. So it's kind of like, what then, if you're able to do that, then that's like, okay, let's question that a bit. Because in my meditation, it's like, okay, you're used to this, but you never really look deeper into it. So it's like, you're able to hear this, you're able to see this, but you're not using your senses. So then therefore, what's happening then? So that's kind of like where I've been at, in a sense of like, okay, exploring that. But then now what gets really funny, because it goes deeper, is, okay, when you say, you know, there is this intelligence out there, or, you know, it's a form of intelligence. Okay, all right, let's go with that. But what is intelligence? And then like my whatever in here would say, look up the word. And intelligence means the ability to learn. So it's like, okay, is that what it is? And it's just like, well, okay, huh. So it changes things. I'm like, okay, then it's an awareness. And it's like, okay, let's look at the word awareness. You say, oh, it's this awareness that we have. Okay, it's your awareness, but look up the word. Your awareness is the ability to perceive. So it's just like, well, what is this voice then? So we're all like, oh yeah, it's your thoughts, you're able to think this, but what is that? So that whole aspect changes a lot of things when you focus on it. So that's where I've been. And that whole space of things, like challenging the reality that you're used to, challenging, what you see, things like that. And, it goes deeper. So that's kind of like where I've been at in my meditations of challenging my reality. But once I came through this space where I was able to surpass my mind and surpass reality, I've learned that it's going to sound very weird, because if you haven't done it, it's like, how can you explain something that no one's ever seen or perceived? But God damn it, it's going to be in your subconscious anyway. It's like when you do surpass all of that, there's like a whole space of things available to you. There's so much open to you. Like I've realized that, for example, I'm just going to say, for lack of better words, that, all of this is made of code. A lot of people say, breaking it down, a lot of people say, oh, it's made of light, this, blah, blah, blah. But there is a program to it, in a sense, like a computer or a game. I mean, you're so used to touching and whatnot, but that's like part of the code to your, awareness or consciousness. I can't think of the word for it. That's one thing I have gotten to. I can't find a word for it. There is really no word for it, but I've learned that lots of people.
What I do, I don't try to define it as anything. I feel the emotion and I convey it in whatever way that the emotion can be conveyed, however it comes out. And that person will receive it in whatever they will receive it. And I'm obviously much more connected to those who receive it without the words needing to be there, or without the words meaning such a physical definition. Those are those who are connected with the most. But if you perceive it in a very physical way, that is how you perceive it. That is the way it needs to come across at that time. Yeah. So I'm allowing the person to receive however they tend to perceive. Okay. And not carrying afterwards.
Okay. So that's where it gets a little confusing for me, is because it's like, I get it in here and I can process it, but it's like now trying to convey it.
Don't try. That's what I'm saying.
Let it out.
Yeah, it's whatever comes up will come up.
Cool.
And it'll be received in whatever way we shall be received.
So we're gonna work with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what. Yeah. So outside of the whole like reality and stuff, I'm learning there's a lot of stuff, codes, things like that. There's an intelligence, universe, and all of that. There is this quote unquote code or intelligence or programmer that you can access to. It's all open and available, but you have to learn like the language of how to do it. And some of us do it in our own unique ways. And, there's a lot of other things that has come up that has has challenged and opened my perspective on reality even more. I was telling him before that I'm not going to say it's a condition, but I have this thing called synesthesia. And basically what that is like your senses, they kind of like, we're going to say blend together in a way. And it's actually a thing. You can look up synesthesia, but it's basically like, for example, you can see colors, but some people can actually feel a color. I mean, in my way, though, it's going to sound really weird and I love it, but I can like see sound and I can feel smells. It's very interesting, but it's a normal, it's a thing. So, and I was telling him, have you ever heard of something like synesthesia or tetrachromacy? And that's like, yeah, you want this one? I didn't drink it. Yeah, so it's all these things that challenges like your reality in a bit. It's like, a program, it's like a game. And so the more you are able to perceive that and understand that and understand that, more is open to you to experience. Like before meeting today, my brother asked me a question last night, and we were talking about the whole conversation of love. And it was just like, we hear that, okay, love is the highest, frequency or power or whatnot. And then my reality was challenged again. It was like, okay, is it? And I was just like, oh, isn't it? And it was like, okay, so if that's what you believe, then yeah, that's it. But you don't think there's anything that can be higher than that. And I was just like, or deeper, however you want to go, perceive. And I was like, okay, so it was again, what is love? And it was just like, you can say emotions, you can say frequency, you can say this, but is it really the highest or whatever? But it was like, maybe that's as far as we know. So then I went into meditation and I experienced these frequencies that were quote unquote past what I've learned as like love. But don't get me wrong, love is very powerful, but there's always more. There's not really, I'm learning there's not really a cap to these things. So what was interesting is that I had to kind of delete that, okay, love is the highest, because if that was the only thing that I would allow myself to perceive, then that's as far as I can go. So when I stopped that, I said, okay, there's more. Then I was able to experience these different frequencies. And just to describe just a few, it sounds so weird, but that's why you just have to experience them. That's why I'm saying, maybe if I'm saying this, it may open some doors for you. But I was experiencing this weird sensation where one of these frequencies allowed me to feel three things at the same time, which I've never done in my life. But it was like a motion of, what happened?
That's good.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh.
Yes.
Sorry. I just see something on the screen. I'm like, what? Yeah. But it was a few things that I experienced with these frequencies. And one, I was in this frequency where I was feeling like I was like stable, like if I'm sitting on the ground, but imagine feeling like that, yet falling and yet rising at the same time. It sounds so weird, but it was just like, that was one of the experiences that I was experiencing with some of these frequencies. And then another is, you're so distracting me. I don't know what you're doing.
My bad, dude.
You're so distracted.
Good idea. I had to follow through. Go ahead.
And that was one thing. And then there was this other frequency where it literally felt like, and the best way I could describe it is, imagine if you got multiplied in this weird way, and you were able to feel all of your cells multiplied. That was one frequency. And then there was another one where it was just like, there was an endpoint, and then there was like a starting point and an end point. And what you did at the starting point affected the end point, and then it reversed and came back to you. It was a very interesting sensation. But that's just kind of the stuff that like I've been experiencing. I had to allow myself to experience it. I had to allow myself to let the questions come, allow myself to surpass like the things that I thought was maybe there. And this whole thing is just like funny, is that the mind really is kind of like a cage, because if you only cap yourself at where, you know, what it is or what this is for yourself, then that's all you're going to experience. So one of the things, and it's funny, it's in this game that I play, Assassin's Creed, First Civilizations. There's these messages that pop up, and they talk about a lot of things that currently is happening like in our world I never heard of. Like they talk about, I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's talking about like Julia or Upsweep, or these things that like talks of that sparks like internet conspiracies and things like that. And it's like Cicada 330. It's weird stuff, but it talks about like reality and these messages, and that you can tune into them. And one of the things is in the game, it talks about like, you know, surpass your reality, and talks about humanity has always been trying to fight for freedom, but the freedom is not, they've been trying to fight for freedom, but really it's not like you're caged like around you or whatever. Like it's not like something is around you caged, but the cage is really in you. It's in your mind. And if you can free yourself from your mind and free yourself from that, then you can experience so much more, and you can perceive so much more, and you go deeper on so much more. So then if you take it back to where we are now, if you can do that like there, because your mind, I mean, you capping yourself. If you can do that now, bringing that here, imagine what that'll do for like your experiences, your life and things like that. You change your mind, you change your world, blah, 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 blah. But it's just like a lot of questionings and things like that has been happening. So that's kind of like what I've been experiencing with a lot of things like that.
She Loves asks, were these feelings experienced in meditation, or did you like have them outside of meditation?
All of the feelings.
I think she's talking about specifically the
synesthesia.
That
Synesthesia happens when I just allow myself to do it. It's kind of like I can turn it on and off. So I can do it in meditation, but like right now, if I'm talking to you and
if you were to do it now, what colors would you see? How would you see the like this? I think the smell is what I'm getting. The smell. How would you see the smell?
Well, I don't really see smell. I feel it. So okay. All right, let's go. Okay, Darius is right next to me, so I'm gonna use him. Now, You smell like you use coconut oil, right?
On my skin, yes.
Okay. Now, when I use this synesthesia, basically it feels coconut oil, the smell of it feels, as the best way I can describe it is, you're going to have to use your imagination a bit, but imagine a cloud, imagine someone like a smoke, right?
Mm-hmm.
But imagine the smoke it didn't just go through you, but you like the smoke can rub on you.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like soft smoke is rubbing over here.
Interesting. I can totally get that energy. I see what you're saying.
Okay. Then as far as sound goes, I try not to do too much because I talk and I can see it. But if I okay, can you tap on the thing for me? Okay. So when I see the sound there, I see a little bit different colors, but it's like every time he taps, it goes like this. And then it disappears. But then if he was to do like a big bang, which we're not going to do because we got stuff on the table. If he was to do a big bang, I would see big waves, but then they'll stop and disappear. Sometimes they're in different colors. If like my brother, his fan is on, I see a blue wave. That's what I see when his fan is on. If someone I haven't really used someone's voice, but I mean, it just comes on. It's just a matter of turning it on. But also I try not to get overwhelmed by it because it's different when you're trying to do something and your senses are being like overwhelmed at the same time. So I'll admit that I have not been developing it, but I had no need to. But yeah, I don't know if that answered. Oh wait, the feeling of multiplying and the no
Earth word feelings. Okay, so I was wrong.
Okay.
But at least we got to discuss the
synesthesia.
Synesthesia and the synesthesia.
It's weird. I had to take me some time. Okay, the feeling of multiplying and the no earth word feeling. Okay, I got you. All right. The feeling of multiplying, that was a frequency that I experienced that would surpass the whole love thing. So the best way I can describe this feeling is that's the best way I can. Okay, I'm going to try my hardest here. I'm standing still and actually, no, perfect. Okay, thank you. Imagine you go into, you ever going into the fair?
Oh, I do, yes.
Okay, you remember ever going into that mirror room?
Yes.
Okay, you know how that feeling felt when you're like, when you first experienced like, whoa, like you could almost hit your head on, like you've ever done that, right? Okay, take that feeling, but like keep that visual. Now imagine seeing all those mirrors of yourself. Now imagine feeling from all those different positions where the mirror's at.
Okay.
Now imagine that you blink your eye, because that's what I did. I blinked my eye, and you know the feeling when you blink your eye like really hard. Now imagine that there was like a little, like it was like a blink, and then all the rest of the rows of you, there was one blink, and then blink, 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 and blink, 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 blink comes back at you. So it's kind of like what you did, kind of zoom, and then it comes back, zoom. So that's the best way I can describe that feeling.
Okay.
And
so she gets it.
Okay. And the no earth word feeling, I don't think I answered that one.
She's for my clarity purposes, she's asking about having trouble defining energy with words.
Oh, okay.
I'm asking that. I'm asking for my clarity. I don't know.
I think
and no earth word feelings. Like, what is that?
I think she's talking about, because there's a point where I think I kind of cut off where I was talking about intelligence and then awareness and then that voice, and then trying to put a word to that feeling, to that sensation.
Okay.
That is very tricky to me. So I'm going to do my best to explain it, but I will say don't quote me on it until I like mastered it and I can say for sure this. But at the moment with my current experience with it, I would say it's not an intelligence and yet it's not an awareness. But what I've come to understand it is that, now hear my words carefully, it's no thing, but at the same time, it's everything. I know that sounds like some Matrix type shit, but that's what came to me, and I understand it in that way. So I don't know if you got to meditate on that, but it literally, when I reached there, it was saying, I am no thing, but yet I am everything. and I get it. It's like, okay, it's like a solid, okay, I get it. But me trying to explain that is just like, you're doing it now. Just as like if you're watching this and you just, you know, don't say nothing, and then you just kind of think about the voice in your head when you think, or the stuff you see or hear, is that it's like you're aware of that, and it's there, but there's really a word that you can't really say. You can't say, okay, it's a thought, but then if you look at the definition of thought, you can't say it's an intelligence, because you look at that, yeah, you're able to learn, but it's like there's more to it, but yet there's not a word for it. So that's something I would say that's homework for like everybody to like try to figure out themselves. But that's kind of where I'm at with it, you know. But yeah, a lot of stuff has been happening where it's been like challenging. She said, "Oh wow, yeah,
Got it. That's good.
okay, awesome, yeah, you're awesome, Shanita." Yeah, that's kind of like some of the things that like I was experiencing, but when you come out of reality, there's so many things available that's just like open to you, that's just willing to share, and trying to explain it is very weird if you haven't experienced it. But like he said, you know, we can say certain, like me and him, we can say certain things. We're like, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that when I'm in these spaces, I'm like, okay, I would love to learn how to bring this to people, but then the whatever in my head that, you know, whatever, it's like, okay, well, I get that, but let's first master this and then you can share. I'm like, okay, that makes perfect sense, because there are certain shapes that I see that you can't draw it. You can experience it though. Like, it's so weird. But one of the shapes, best. I'm gonna keep it really 2D.
One of the shapes?
It's a shape that I see, but how the shape goes, it looks weird. It's kind of like if
It's spinning?
and not spinning, but you're kind of getting the feeling of it. Imagine if I go like this with an L, right? Mm-hmm. Now imagine you cut off where they connect, right?
Yeah.
Now say that the L, let's just say, is going in this direction, right? There's this, where it's cut off at, there's like this white strip. On this way, it's going a different direction. So it's going like, they can all go like this, right? So the L, this bottom piece is going here. This part is going here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like two white lines, yep, where they're about to connect. Mm-hmm. Now, if you were to add another piece to that, you can add a circle, and then it'll be a white space, and then it'll form over it. Sounds weird, but it's like it shapes a certain way, but they don't connect, but they move at the same time.
Move how? So it's not like this or anything?
That's what I'm saying. It's very weird. It's like they move, but you can't do it in a 2D way. It's an experience. It's like
so it can't move like this. It's moving.
Not
moving a motor bottle for those who are watching. So if I'm moving like that, how is it moving then?
Okay, hold this. All right, take the idea of, here we go. Take the idea of a portal, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can stick my hand through this hole,
mm-hmm.
and then a hand will come up this way. Though my hand is this way, the other hand is coming out like this.
Okay.
Okay. So imagine that portal is the white lines I was telling you about.
Okay.
All right. So for this shape, we'll do an L here. Right here, this part, this is cut off, this is cut off, but there's a white line. So this part is going down this way for the L, and then this part is going down that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, over here, if I was to bring it out some, there's some other shape that'll like happen, but this shape can be going in a different direction. It's like it's as if the portal kind of connects them, but it doesn't look complete, but yet it's the shape.
Okay.
That's what I can describe it. So imagine trying to draw that.
Right.
So that's like one of the weird experiences. But then also I wanted to say too, Also I wanted to say too is that when you get out of the mind and you experience all of these things, what'll happen is that your consciousness, awareness, whatever you want, whatever we term it now, begins to adapt and begins to change. Like everybody who knows me very closely know that when it comes to math, your boy don't be knowing that. I'm like, hey, get my calculator, I'm good. You talk about quadratic formulas and all of that, I don't know. But there, I get all these equations and I can understand it. But what's happening is that it's changing my way of thinking, where I'm not going to say I'm thinking like the universe, but it kind of sounds like it. Particle thinking. And particle thinking in the sense of, if you think of something you're trying to create, but think of it as in the smallest way as a particle is what we know of now. All right. So you say, okay, I want to think of this. Now build it like the universe would build it. Add more particles. And the more particles you build to it, it becomes matter.
But as you add these particles, will they start to gain a sense of expansion from their perspective and only theirs? So they might not necessarily get like this, they might go like this.
However it goes.
Right, however it goes. Okay.
However it goes. There's no right or wrong way.
Right.
However it goes. Yeah. So you just build from that. And the more you bring together, it becomes matter. And then the more that goes, it builds. So it's like you're starting from the smallest form and then you're letting it add on it, and boom, there you go. You created something in your mind. So it's like keeping things that simple. But you can also keep particle thinking as, I could be thinking of something right here, but at the same time, I could be thinking of something behind me that just connects these two. Sounds very weird, but we are so focused on doing things linear that if you remove the linear and just have space and then kind of adopt that, it changes your whole way of thinking and how you create and a lot of other different things. And then I also learned too in meditation, with all the stuff being questioned, is like a lot of things when it comes to the mind and how you perceive it, it's all a matter of how you perceive it. For example, if you think of those line graphs, whatever, when people look at business stuff and they're looking at the rate of their business and they're going like this, that means it's succeeding. Mm-hmm. But now say, for example, if someone was to, if you didn't know, and someone was to switch it and they had put it upside down, you think, ooh, your business is doing very bad because it looks like it's all going down. But it's just a matter of how you perceived it and how it's introduced to you. But when you change it up and you understand and you just, flip it the right way, it goes up. But just because it was upside down, you immediately perceived it as going down and the feelings went with it and the thoughts came down with it. So it's just like a matter of like perception and things like that. So that's kind of like, I know this sounds like so much matrix shit, but that's kind of like what I've been experiencing, like in meditation and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, what's the point of all of this? Why? So then that's what I would ask myself. And it's like, okay, you have to get this new way of doing stuff so that you can use it in a different way. But I can't know that way because I haven't done the new things yet. It's kind of like what they say, how you get out, like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting same results or different results. So it's like switching all of that up. So now it's just like, okay, if you can utilize all of this crazy stuff I just told you and use that in your everyday life, then it's like, what are the possibilities? So now there's just like, you don't really know, but you have this huge space of like possibilities, like, okay, this can go anywhere depending on how I use it. So it's like, boom, that's the purpose in a way. Now, like, explore it. So that's kind of like where I have been at in my whole space of things and utilizing all of that. So that's been my current life at the moment. But yeah.
Okay, so we're both essentially just allowing ourselves to expand more beyond that which is physical.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I would define it, because I feel like all of what you just said, not to undermine it in any way, because what you said was great, but I feel like the core, I do this all the time. Like, I like to take this massive amount of information and that one bullet point at the core, which is essentially creating things. We're manifesting things. We're better understanding our power as gods to create and to manifest. So that's really all of what you were saying to me. Like, okay, we can manifest in so many different ways. Well, you can't do that. You can't understand that until you experience certain parts of your experience that you're creating for yourself.
Yeah.
So to me, that's really important. I forgot where I was going with this. I was going to say something, but I forgot. Whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
It always comes to
right. But yeah, energy and everything that we are experiencing. Okay, I guess I can discuss stereotypes. I feel like there's certain things we create all the time that we aren't even aware of that are so like common sense to us, like stereotypes. What is a stereotype? It's essentially like saying that all Asians have small penises, all African Americans have big dicks. You know, these are all stereotypes. And because if you believe a stereotype, you are literally creating that energy in your space. So if all Asians have small penises, according to you, you will never find a big dick Asian. But I guarantee you, I can find one because I believe they exist. I know they do. It's just it's life. All forms of life exist. There's intergalactics, but there aren't big dick Asians. You know, these things are common. It's like a common knowledge thing to me because we're creating the space for the stereotype to exist, and then it's existing because we deem it so. And another thing, a good friend of mine, Jason, a good friend of ours, Jason, we do intuitive work and stuff, and I was telling him that the reason that I'm always right, my intuition is always right, because I don't deem it to be wrong. I don't want it to be wrong. I don't think about it ever being wrong, so I know I'm going to receive something right. That is it. I guarantee you, if the second I start doubting something, I'm going to receive doubt for things, and the information won't be as accurate because I'm picking up on doubt. But because I expect it to be right, it is right. Done. Regardless, if I were to say, "Hey, your mother's name is Clarissa," and it's not, but I felt I received that intuition correct, bitch, your mother's name is Clarissa from that Clarissa was correct, and there's nothing you can tell me otherwise. You know what I mean? Just regardless of how I gave the information, I feel it's correct, and I feel like that's a part of what I'm saying is that if you just understand something and expect it to be a certain way, it will be that way. Intuition and is that way. Traffic, people at your job, things of that nature. It's about understanding at the core that we're all creators, that we all can do what we want to do, and we're all creating all of that we're doing. You know?
Yeah.
So Brown Bermuda says quantum thinking, and that yes, perception is something I've been working on deeply. Perception is a big thing, a great thing, because perception, like we really went in depths as to how perception can really alter so many different things. Perception is a great thing for all of us, simply because that it's what we. Perception is our power from another place, because it's like we have this perception that isn't really ours. You know, it's not. So it's like we're limiting our own power just by looking through the eyes of others. Because perception, if you're deeming like all of life to be normal and all of life, what you're experiencing the physical to be normal, then the spiritual, the real freaky deaky normal can never be normal because you don't perceive it to be that way. You know, so many different things can happen if you alter perception. But yes, I agree with that. Nothing really is coming up for me to discuss. I feel like I'm going like dead ends with all the things I'm saying. I don't know. Yes, you can say something, buddy.
Yeah, as far as perception, I think one of the biggest things that'll really help you with your perception, I think will really change like the game for you, would be two things that I've done. The first thing is I've just imagined creating, or I just create this. I'm tired of saying imagine. Damn it, I created the space.
So true, very powerful thing you said.
Yeah.
You aren't imagining.
It's just happening.
Truly, this is present tense right here. This is like the present moment.
Yeah.
Truly.
I'm like, why am I saying imagining?
Yeah.
Create the space in your mind that is a lot bigger. Create it very huge. That's what I've done. That gives me the room or possibility to do more. And then what helps me is to simply be open to whatever it can be open to many possibilities. And just I think this is where my inner child comes out, because I get very excited like a freaking kid when these things happen, because I'm like, oh, I can do it this way, I can do it that way. I will get lost in these things. I can always find my way, but I choose to get lost. But I get like very crazy with it. So, you know, create that huge space for it, and then be open to the many different ways. And this one is really hard for people, but if you just accept it, it makes it easier. Be open and accept that you could be wrong, and be open that, you know, whatever, like when I say wrong, like what you've been taught, like this is how it should be, maybe just like when I say open yourself up to being wrong, it kind of like he said earlier, like it's not wrong or right. It's just like you're giving yourself that space to allow it to be in its truest form, that it can represent itself to you for you to understand. Because if you think like, you know, oh, it has this way, it has to be right, then you're stuck over. I can't do it, but you're stuck over here, and you can't let this open up to something else. So it's a matter of being open and just kind of like allowing. It's pretty much, it goes back to allowing. You just drop the shit on the table. It's like, okay,
truly,
that's just what it is. I created the space. God damn it, it could be whatever it is. I could be wrong, I could be right, but I'm not gonna hold on to that. Fuck it. And then that's what you do. And I found doing that has opened up so many goddamn doors, because I that's why my extreme side comes in. I kind of really get excited when I'm wrong on stuff. Like, I really get excited because I'm like, damn, that is a new fucking opportunity for me to learn something and be aware. Most people don't like to be wrong. Me personally, I'm okay with it because it's like, I always say I might be wrong, but this is what I think it is. And if I'm wrong, it's like, well, shit, now what is it? And it's like, wow, changed the game for me. So I guess I took the pressure off myself and allow it to reveal itself and just literally just allow. So that's what, works with perception. But another thing is too, is you have to play with it. You got to practice. Like, I don't know if I can say I'm guilty of this, but sometimes I'll get stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, I got it, but I don't really take it any further.
True, dude, all the time.
Yeah. So I've been conscious of that. And I'm like, you know what? The minute I get, I'm like, all right, let's apply it. So that's what I do. I immediately find some way, either meditation and life, immediately apply. And it's like, okay, now it's a part of me. That's my biggest thing, is to get it a part of me. Because it's like, okay, it's like, I'm just going to say it because I don't know if anybody else is like this, but I'm going to say it. Has there ever been a time where you've connected either to your source or your spirit guides, whatever it is, and you were going through something and they done told your ass like 20 minutes worth of universal life, like, truth changing shit. Yeah. And you was like, oh, okay. And go watch TV or something. And go watch TV. Yeah. And you don't do nothing about it. So I've been guilty of that. So it's like, okay, no. Let me, okay, I got that. And immediately I program myself, how can I apply it? And then I start to play with it. I start to test it on stuff that, I'm normally used to. And then that's how it gets programmed into me. I program myself and that's how I do it. And it changes my perceptions on things. God damn it. To be really honest with you, I can give you a really personal lesson on what I just learned about perception. And this is, I can say it because one, I can say it, I'm grown. Two, I can say it. Well, last night, something happened between me and a family member. Nothing bad, nothing crazy. But they were talking to me and it came down to the whole aspect of like love. And it went along with, other people around me. I can feel the love from them. Like Darius, I can feel the love. My mom, it's automatic. My other brother, I can just feel it. How I feel it is different amongst them, but I feel it. But with this particular family member, I didn't feel anything. It was like cold. So I had to question it. I had to ask this family member, I'm like, do you love me or do you love the things that I do for you? Ooh. So, they were like, I know, right? But they were like, I love you. What do you mean? So because I told them, like, think about it before you answer. And it's like, no. Know this person? Yeah. I thought so. Yeah. So, yeah, it was very interesting. But what I found with that is that with this family member, mind you this, let me throw this background in there. Me and this family, I've known this family member for like forever. And it's been years. We have done years worth. I'm like, they have helped me. I have helped them. This has been years. This thing has been like, has been years of stuff, but quite some time, but I just didn't feel the love. It was like, I'm sure it's there, but I don't feel it. And I had to be very authentic and let this family member know, like, I don't feel it, but don't take it the wrong way. It could be me. And what I discovered was that how I perceived it with others in this person's way, this family member's love was unique. So like, I felt like, okay, I was giving it, which was fine. I was like, whatever happens, I'm, the love's still pointing out to you. But when I went in meditation, it was showing me my perception of it. And my perception was like, okay, I'm giving it to him like this way, but I don't feel it, whatever. But I had to change my perception and see how it was coming to me. And then I allowed myself to see it. And then once I did, it completely changed the game. That's when the whole synesthesia stuff started kicking in really even more. Because the love from this family member was like bright and I can feel this shit. Like it was like waves of shit. I was like, okay, whoa. All right, I feel it now. God damn it. But it was different than how I was used to perceiving it. So it changed the game. And I was just like, okay, now let me tell this family member that I feel it and I see it now. So, I wanted to make sure nothing, didn't start from that. But it was my perception. And because of my perception, I kind of wasn't feeling it from that family member. Changed the perception, allowed it to reveal itself the way it is. And I was able to feel it and see it. And it just changed the whole game. So I was just like, whoa, like this is interesting. Not only that, but now it's changed the whole game of how I perceive other different like ways other people may show love or things like that. But that's like a personal thing that I've experienced. And I think they commented, I believe. I'm not sure.
Oh, she said, mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Brown Pujita. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's kind of like stuff I've been getting like in my whole reality of sorts. Funny stuff.
What?
I'm trying to see what you're getting there. You seem like you was in the space.
I'm just viewing right now. Yeah. Okay, they wanted me to tell you as I go, whatever. So, last podcast, I spoke of my friend's higher self, give me a vision of the globe and how the globe is lighting up to show that we're all becoming deeper into who we are and becoming more of who we are, better beings of who we can be as, and so forth. So right now, I was looking back into this space again. I'm seeing the globe. And I'm seeing like a white line shoot into a place, and once I go into that line, I'm in like some person's home, I want to say, and I'm seeing this person at the table eating food or casually watching TV, then going into the room, meditating and connecting to source like on a very high level, then coming back and being very physical. So I guess the advice for you guys, what I'm getting from this vision is that being as spiritual as Thaddeus and I is okay, but Thaddeus and I also watch video games. We chill out. We do very physical stuff. We understand that we're evolving and we're shifting, but in the midst of shifting, we're enjoying where we currently are, knowing that more is on to come, but we're also appreciating as it comes, but we're also appreciating like right now, just enjoying that space. So don't watch it to feel like you have to change all of your life to be as intuitive as you can right now. You can definitely make some drastic changes if you like. But again, as I said in the very beginning of this podcast, interesting how that comes for full circle. Fine tuning sometimes results in drastic changes. Like earlier, like a few minutes ago, he just said how we receive 20 minutes worth of intuitive insight from our guides and we don't act on it. Just by acting on it, which is something very simple, a quick fix, really, it can truly drastically change how you receive, perceive, and retrieve any kind of intuitive information, any kind of energy you're experiencing in your current home right now. It allows you to evolve very rapidly just by making those small adjustments. So I'm feeling that's what I'm being guided to do, just allow you to be aware that the growth can be had, spiritually speaking, but don't feel as if all it needs to happen now, because the physical form of you right now that has physical desires, sex, great food, hanging out with friends. I'm spiritual as fuck. Truly, I am. But I go to the bars, I have friends. I talk about anime. I do stuff that isn't spiritual because I get sick of it sometimes, and it's important for you to not get sick of it by basically just allowing other physical aspects of your life to come up. Mm-hmm. Pretty much what's the vision I got just now. So brown burrito.
Convert your life. Just convert
truly.
Your life to spiritual. Cut everybody off.
Totally.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Thank you for sharing that about your family member, Thaddeus. It opened my perception about someone. Nice. Look at that.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I mean, it was something that I felt why not share. So, it helped me, and I just wanted to share because it changed the game. It changed the game on some people. There are some people who really give you their all, but if you can't see it, you become aware, then it's like boom, yeah. There was something that you said. One I was going to say, Chai, it's like you blessing them. You said perceive, receive, and retrieve. Oh. That right there's like a capture for a conference right there. Like that is just perfect. But okay, to talk more on that, like he said, we do spiritual. Oh, there we go. No, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I'm gonna emphasize on this, like he said, like don't feel like you have to do everything at once, because I used to be in that space, and it was so much pressure. Like, okay, I feel like I have to do this now. I need to master this now. I need to do this now, and I was really putting a lot of pressure on myself. When I just let go and I just focused on one thing, I learned to just master one thing, and when I mastered that one thing, it opened up everything else. Like it opened up more. Then I was like, okay, I just intuitively knew, okay, this is the next thing I need to focus on. As I did that opened me up more, and that opened up like my space more. That was one thing, and I wanted to focus on. So don't put pressure on yourself, but like you said, just apply. Just focus on one thing, because if you put all your energy there, you'll get it done easier and faster than trying to master like 5 things at the same time. It's like, do one thing at a time. Like you know, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm finna just stop all this, but like one thing at a time. I mean, like 20 minutes you can meditate and get something. Okay, the next 20 minutes you can go do whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. But I mean, like,
Yeah.
take time for that one thing, giving it your undivided attention, and do other stuff, you know?
Something else that comes up, a friend of mine recently described, Jason, again, we do intuitive stuff. So he was giving me intuitive advice about going deep into meditation, and that annoyed me. Deep meditation is the thought of it annoys me. Then I realized I don't need to go deep to retrieve deep information. Like he said, 20 minutes, I'll be damned if you see me meditate for 20 minutes. That's just not how I do stuff. I don't feel I need to, because that's just the thought of having to do that annoys the hell out of me. So don't feel as if you have to go deep into meditation, because you might be surprised at how easy it is for you to retrieve life-changing information just like that. Now, I do stuff for, like, I do candlelit meditations. Like, I always just light a candle and I'll stare at it. And that's what I wanted to discuss earlier, yes. So what I'll do is I'll light a candle, I'll stare at it, and I'll just watch it and perceive it and become very present in the moment. But it's something I realized. I want to be able to move the candle flame with my energy, whatever. Something I realized in the process of trying to do that, I feel like I'm moving a part of my energy that isn't physically there. Like, I'm moving my arm right now, I move my leg right now, but I feel like I have this extension of my right that I'm moving right now that you can't physically see. And I feel like I can move certain parts of my energetic body that doesn't correlate to my physical body. And it's almost as if I'm switching a gear or something in a different energetic space, maybe a different dimension or something. And I'm noticing the more I do that, the more the candle reacts to it. It might not go left or right the way I want it to, but it reacts to it. It's always a react. So right now I'm learning just how to act, and it's allow the reaction to come, but then gain the information I gain from that. Because that's not necessarily go. I want to make it go left and go right at will. But right now I'm just acting, and it's doing something as a result of me acting. So I'm doing something right. I need to gain this information now and be at peace with what has been gained, and then act on it with time as I feel inspired to do. Because I want to take inspired action. I don't want to just candle lit meditations every day, because I would be boring as hell. I don't want to do it all the time. But when I do it, it's fun. It's exciting, you know? But I'm not one to go into deep meditation, because I just don't feel I need to go as deep in order to. I don't feel I need to go deep in order to get good stuff. I'm not saying it's like a 2-second thing. I go deep enough to get it, but I don't want you to think you have to meditate for 40 minutes. But you can if you want, because I know he likes to meditate for hours sometimes, which is fine. Different strokes for different folks.
I wouldn't say I like to. It just happens.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, oh, I'm going to do it for an hour. It shit out going meditation, thinking it'd be 20-minute thing, and next thing you know, 2 hours and 47 minutes done fucking passed.
Interesting.
I didn't plan that, but that's how it turns out.
Just be at peace with however it comes. Allow the meditation to come to you however it feels you need to do.
Yeah, pretty much. And also have fun.
Well, yeah, of course.
Well, I mean,
have fun.
I mean, like in general, like, you know, we're very spiritual, and that's a core, you know, of us. But you know, we do different things. Like, yes. You know, we'll even have. Like, we're having some people. We're doing something Thursday. We're a group of us.
Are we bringing food to that? Should I bring food?
I didn't know. Well, I don't know because that was her birthday. That's what we came for birthday.
I just think I remember the last time with Loretta, people came over. They brought food and stuff.
I mean, I could ask. I mean,
you put it. Let's put it in the group chat. We still have time. I don't mind. I'm fine with either or.
We can put it in the group, like, you want food?
Yeah, I don't know.
What y'all want to eat, and then, you know, I don't know people's appetite.
True that. But yeah, it's getting dark, you guys. It's getting dark super early. Thank God we changed it to 4, because it's only 5:18. We usually do it at 5. Like, it's super dark right now. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, shit has been weird lately.
Because last week at 5:18, it wasn't like it started getting dark at like 5:30, 5:45. Because it was only a 30-minute podcast. Now it's like it's pretty damn dark.
Dude, did you experience yesterday? Because yesterday felt like the world was like frozen.
Today is Tuesday. Yesterday is Monday.
Were you outside at all, like during the day?
I was working. I worked all day yesterday. I did. I lied in the grass a few times, but I was working. Then I took a nap. Came home, took a nap, and went back to work.
Okay, you probably weren't aware of it. It was just no biggie. But it felt like yesterday. It felt like the world was like frozen in time, because like the weather, the cloud, it was just the same for hours at work.
That's kind of cool though, because I feel like before things were moving so fast, we were getting drained because of it. But I feel like yesterday was very rewarding at work. I made good money. I got home. I took a nap. I slept really abundantly last night as well. So I think it was good energy in the air.
Yeah, it was good energy.
Yeah.
It just felt like, damn, shit feels like it's frozen.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Yes, I guess.
I really want to interview someone. I feel like we haven't done it in a while, and I'm ready to do that.
What you call it said he wanted to.
Who?
John,
he did say that. That's right. But we need to do that like soon. We could discuss it Thursday, I guess. But yeah, we definitely want to. And Loretta, we had to discuss with all of them to bring them on board. at least like a video or like something to do with them, because they're coming to your house so they can meet us here, but we got to get some interviews out. I feel like we learned the most during interviews. I feel like this podcast at its highest, it was like during the interviews. So I want to bring that back for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool.
But yeah, you guys, we're going to be heading out soon. It's getting dark.
Yeah, we kind of have to be in the house before the street lights come
right?
on.
Shit, we
our
black.
parents going to beat us,
Tear that ass up.
And I don't want that. Like,
nobody wants that.
I know I'm 25, but like, she beat me like I'm like 7. And I don't want mama to beat me. Because mom beat me, she said she go tear that
whatever.
She said that ass grass. Yeah, I don't want my ass.
You're so dumb.
I'm so serious. Like, this grass is fresh cut. I don't want
you
my
so
ass to be
dumb.
fresh whipped. She said, well, I fuck up. She go beat me up.
Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this with others. Brown Burrito says, also, Darius, I love seeing your videos on the Peace Dealer channel. Your energy is always so radiant and empowering. No, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love to empower others. I want people to be able to do all of what they want to do, because I think wanting to do it, thinking you can do it is half the battle, majority of the battle, if not,
Yeah,
but yeah,
is awesome. So
thank you guys.
You have to be around him. You experience cool things when you're around him.
Apparently.
He blesses you.
Thank you guys. I look forward to hearing from you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. We'll be the same place, same time, hopefully with an interview update, because we're going to. Oh, right. Okay.
All right, go.
All right, you guys.
Later, y'all. I know it's not.